Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with my Big 12 football predictions for the 2023 college football season. Before I continue, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate you do that. We're only a week away, guys. A week away, probably under a week by the time you see this video from college football games starting. I still have to get the ACC, Pac-12, playoff, and New Year's Six bowl predictions out. I also still have to get my Notre Dame predictions out as well. That's the one independent that matters to me this season that I think will have a play in New Year's Six play. So let's get into it. The Big 12 this year is going to be one of the most, if not the most competitive league this year. All 14 teams, in my opinion, with maybe the exception of one, has a chance to make a bowl game. And I actually, in this Big 12, say what you want, is wide open. So let's get into it. Big 12 football predictions. Let's kick it off with the team that in first place, that will finish in first place in the standings in the Big 12, the team that won the Big 12 last year, the Kansas State Wildcats. 10-2, 7-2 is what I have them going in the Big 12. I have them going ahead and losing road games against Texas Tech and Texas. Listen, Kansas State, they only bring back 5 on defense. I'm not concerned. I know they're going to play tough defense. 8 offensive starters, including the whole offensive line. Yes, I know they lose Deuce Vaughn. They're going to be fine running the ball, Kansas State. They bring back the whole offensive line. Will Howard comes back as starting quarterback. I really like the job that Chris Kleinman is doing there at Kansas State. And I think they're going to be back. I think they're going to win the regular season Big Ten when it comes to the standings. So 10-2, 7-2 in the non-conference. 7-2 in the conference, 3 in the out conference. I expect Kansas State to be pretty good this season. Second place, the team that will face Kansas State in the Big 12 championship game will be the Baylor Bears, going 10-2, 7-2 in the conference. I'm high on Baylor this year. Say what you want about Baylor. I know some people aren't as high on them. I'm high on Blake Shapen. I really am. I think he's going to do great things. Dave Aranda's an excellent coach. You bring back 7 on the offense. They bring back only 5 on defense. But Dave Aranda, he's a defensive-minded coach. Last year, I think Baylor was a bit banged up. I think that team was probably better when healthy than what they were. This season, non-conference schedule, they'll get a big win at home week 2 against Utah. In a future Big 12 matchup. 7-2 in the Big 12. You look at Baylor, they lose to Kansas State, in my opinion, in the preview of the Big 12 championship game. I also think they go ahead and lose a game on the road against UCF. Um, I'm just high on Baylor. I just have a sneaky feeling about this team. I think they're going to be really good, and yeah, I am really high on Baylor. Third place, just coming up just short and making the Big 12 championship game, despite having the same record as Kansas State and Baylor, it's going to be Oklahoma. Um, Oklahoma has a really easy schedule this year. You look at this schedule, it is really easy. They bring back 13 starters, including the quarterback. I think Oklahoma is going to be much better year 2 under Brent Venables. Um, 7-2 in the Big 12 with those losses coming to BYU and Oklahoma State. Um, the schedule is very easy. To be honest, I think the BYU game and the Texas game are probably the 2 toughest games. I have them beating Texas in the Red River Shootout. Um, but the reason why I have Oklahoma behind Baylor is the way it works in the Big 12 is uh, by conference record, then by tiebreaker, and then by most points scored. Baylor will score more points than Oklahoma this year. That's why I have Baylor there and Kansas State there as well. Um, Also, Kansas State will have the tiebreaker against Baylor in the head-to-head. But you look at Oklahoma, as I said, they're going to be better this year. I'm not very concerned long term. Now, in the SEC, when they join the SEC in 24, that'll be a different conversation. But this year should be a good year for the Sooners, 10-2, 7-2 in the Big 12. Fourth place in the Big 12 is going to be Texas. I know a lot of people are picking Texas to win the Big 12 this year. I get it. They bring back 10 offensive starters, 6 on defense. The only position that doesn't return is running back Bijan Robinson. I get it. Offensively, they should be very good. Probably one of the best in the country. It's just that Steve Sarkisian is unproven, and it's Texas. And you hear this whole motion, oh, this Texas is back. When's the last time they've been back? I know I know they won 10 games in 2018, including a Sugar Bowl win. That was nice. But what have they done since then? Um, they will lose their game week 2 out of conference on the road against Alabama. I don't think Texas fans are too upset about that. But on the road against Baylor, Oklahoma, and on the road against TCU will be your 3 Big 12 losses for the Texas Longhorns. And listen, I could be wrong, and Steve Sarkisian shocks me and they go 11-1 Texas. I don't see it. It's kind of a wait and see game with me when it comes to Texas. 8-4, 6-3 in the Big 12. Fifth place in the Big 12, a team that I am really high on this year, is BYU. BYU, I released my top 25 a few weeks ago. Go check it out if you haven't already. A lot of people are saying BYU out of the 4 new teams that joined the Big 12, the first batch of Big 4 that are going to be playing in the Big 12 this year, UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, BYU, that Cincinnati and UCF are more ready for the long haul of the Big 12. I cannot disagree more with that. Now, UCF, yes, I agree with that. They have a Power 5 head coach. I'll get into them here in a minute. BYU, though, they bring back 15 starters. This is a team that were independent. They're not afraid to play with the big boys, and they have been big time Power 5 schools before. I mean, they beat Baylor last year. Baylor is a team that I have in the Big 12 championship game. The year before that, Utah, Arizona State, future Big 12 teams, USC. I know USC sucked in 2021. They beat Virginia. They beat Washington State. They went ahead and beat Tennessee in 2019. They beat USC again in 2019. They beat Wisconsin on the road. So BYU can compete against these Power 5 schools. I'm not concerned at all. I think they're going to be the surprise team in the Big 12. I have them ranked 25 in my preseason poll, and I think to go 8-4, 6-3 in the non-conference. I do think they lose that game on the road against Arkansas. And by the way, we already did SEC and Big Ten football predictions. Go check out those videos on McD Sports 4. The 3 games they will lose in the Big 12 is Texas. I think they lose to Texas, Oklahoma State, and Kansas. I think they go ahead and drop that game against Kansas and a bit of an upset there. But BYU is going to be fine in the Big 12. They're going to be fine short term and long term. They'll be fine. Keaton Slovis, he's been around for a while. We saw what he did there at Pitt. I'm telling you right now, BYU will compete for the Big 12 this year. Watch, but I think they come up just a little bit short. 8-4, 6-3 in the Big 12. So sixth place here in the Big 12. The Big 12 doesn't do divisions, by the way. Sixth place is going to be TCU, the runner-ups from last year. TCU, they lose a lot from last year's team, but including Garrett Riley, the offensive coordinator there. But at the same time, they bring in Kendall Browse from Arkansas. They're going to be fine offensively, TCU. They go 3 in the non-conference, including week 1 at home against Colorado. They go ahead and go 5-4 in the Big 12, and I mean, but they're going to get big wins. I mean, they're going to beat Texas at home. They're going to go ahead, in my opinion, and probably get a big win against. Actually, never mind. I have them losing Kansas State. I thought I had them winning against Kansas State there for a second, but besides the fact, TCU is going to be fine. 8-4, they'll have a crack at 9 wins in a bowl game. They'll be fine. They only returned 3 on the offense, but as I said, Kendall Browse, good offensive mind. They should be fine offensively. Bring back 7 defensively. Joe Gillespie to DC, he's still there. They'll be fine there as well. So TCU 8-4, 5-4 in the conference. Seventh place in the Big 12 is Texas Tech, 7-5, 5-4 in the Big 12. A lot of people are higher on Texas Tech. They bring back 17 starters, including all 11 on offense. They have a big non-conference game week 2 at home against Oregon. I think Oregon wins that game. But you look at this non-conference schedule. At Wyoming is going to be kind of tricky as well. I mean, Tarleton State, you beat them, but at Wyoming, that's not give me by any stretch of the any stretch. I expect that game to be a competitive game on the road against Wyoming. But Texas Tech, the reason why I just can't pull the trigger on them is because they're Texas Tech. Whenever Texas Tech seems to get going, it always seems to collapse. I think they'll have a crack at 8 wins in the bowl game, but 7-5, 5-4 in the conference. I mean, they will get some big wins against TCU. They'll go ahead and beat Kansas State, so they will get some big wins this year. But at the end of the day, just couldn't pull the trigger on it. 7-5, 5-4 in the Big 12. They'll go ahead and get a crack at 8 wins there in the bowl game. Now in eighth place in the Big 12, I got UCF. UCF is a team that I think some people are sleeping on. You look at this team, Gus Malzahn, Power 5 head coach. Say what you want about him. He did. It looks like a great job at Auburn. Looking back at it, they bring back 15 stars, including the quarterback there, and John Riles Plumlee there at UCF. Um, they're going to be 2-1 in the non-conference. I do have them losing that game on the road against Boise State. A bit of an upset there, but 5-4 in Big 12 play. Will finish their first season in Big 12 play at 5-4. And they'll get a crack at 8 wins as well. UCF. So UCF there in eighth place. Ninth place in the Big 12 is going to be Oklahoma State. I feel like a lot of people are also sleeping on Oklahoma State. You look at Oklahoma State. Was last year's second half of the season a massive disappointment? Yes. Um, they bring back 13 starters. Mike Gundy, I have enough faith in Mike Gundy that he'll get this team to a bowl game. He'll navigate through a very competitive a very competitive Big 12, and he will navigate the Cowboys to a bowl game. Um, 7-5, 5-4 in the non-conference. Um, I do have them losing not on the road against Arizona State. I do have them losing at home against South Alabama. South Alabama is a team I'm really high on this year out of the Sun Belt. I think one of the big upsets this year will be this game. Oklahoma State will probably be about 15-point favorite, maybe a 20-point favorite. I think South Alabama goes into Boone Pickens and beat in Stillwater and beats Oklahoma State. But still, 5-4 in the Big 12. Um, they'll get some big wins, such as at home against BYU. Um, so I mean, they'll get big wins. They'll beat Oklahoma in the last possibly the last Bedlam series we'll see in a while. So Oklahoma State, I like them to get to a bowl game at 7-5, 5-4 in the Big 12. Now, these next 5 teams, I do not have reaching a bowl game. It doesn't mean that some of these teams won't. Some of these teams can very well reach a bowl game. The first team we're going to talk about is the Kansas Jayhawks, 5-7, 2-7 in the Big 12. Um, I know they bring back 17 starters, including 10 on the offense. They basically bring back that whole offense. I just don't. I don't think teams are going to sleep on Kansas this year, and I think that's why I couldn't get to more than 5-7, 2-7 in the Big 12. When I mean teams sleeping on them, I mean teams in the Big 12. They will go 3-0 in the non-conference, including a win against the Illinois team that I think they should be underdogs in. And listen, they will compete for a bowl game. I hope Kansas makes a bowl game. I just think teams are. I just think teams aren't going to sleep on them like they have in previous years. Kansas. So 5-7, 2-7. It'll be a bunch of track meet games, but at the end of the day, I just think they come up a little bit short the Jayhawks and finish the year at 5-7. But I still think they're going to be very competitive. I just think they're going to be that one team that comes up a bit short a few times. Next team in 10th place here in the Big 12 is going to be Houston. Houston is a team that I think a lot of their games are going to be track meets as well. You look at Houston, they go ahead, they bring back 12 starters. They bring in a new quarterback. Dana Hogerson, I think, is going to figure out pretty quickly. And one of my predictions this year is that Houston fires Dana Hogerson at the end of the year. That the talent at Houston isn't as good as the talent at West Virginia. Um, Speaking of West Virginia, that will be one of the two Big 12 wins for Houston this year. West Virginia at home and Cincinnati at home. You look at Houston. Um, a lot of their games are going to be track meets. They'll go ahead and go 1-2 in the non-conference, um, including losses against UTSA and Rice. So that should tell you. Actually, no, 2-1. I misread that. I have them beating Rice. They will lose to UTSA though at home in week 1. That's one of the teams. UTSA. I'll come out and say it. I have UTSA representing the Group of 5 in the New Year's Six. So, Houston will lose that game. They'll win a close game at Rice, and they'll beat Sam Houston at home. They don't leave the state of Texas until October 28th. Something to keep in mind as well. Next game, I mean not next game. Next team, 12th place in the Big 12 here is going to be West Virginia. I have West Virginia going 4-8, 2-7 in the Big 12. West Virginia is, I mean, they're just not that good of a team. That's where it really comes down to. Can they make a bowl game? Possibly. I do think they'll get a big upset in week 3 at home against Pitt, a game that they probably should have won last year. But in a very competitive Big 12, West Virginia is going to have to play some very good ball, in my opinion, for them to get to a bowl game. I think they come up a little bit short. I lean more towards 5-7 than 3-9. I'll admit that, but West Virginia 4-8, 2-7. They do have the All Pro center there at and Zach Frazier there at West Virginia, so that is the one bright spot. I think Neil Brown does get let go at the end of the year. Um, but at the end of the day, West Virginia, they're not a good football team. They're going to come up a little bit short of making a bowl game, in my opinion. 4-8, 2-7 in the Big 12 is where I have them landing at. 13th place in the Big 12. Almost done here. Cincinnati, 4-8, 2-7 in the Big 12. Now, at first, looking at the schedule, the Cincinnati schedule was actually pretty easy. They get all the tough opponents at home besides BYU, in my opinion, and Pitt in the non-conference. They only bring back 9 starters. You look at this team, Emory Jones, he has Power 5 experience playing at Florida. You look at Cincinnati, I thought, hey, they might have a good shot at making a bowl game first year in the Big 12. But then you hear the new head coach, Scott Satterfield, talk about patience and all that. I just get the vibe from Cincinnati. It's going to be a few years before they really start competing in the Big 12. I do not like the Scott Satterfield hire personally. I think at times Louisville got hot, and that's the only reason why there's some hype around Scott Satterfield. He wasn't actually really like that Louisville. For anybody that didn't know, he wasn't like that Louisville. Trust me, Louisville fans were celebrating when he decided to leave for the Cincinnati job. And it's kind of funny because Louisville and Cincinnati, they're rivals, and he left for the rival. But Cincinnati 4-8, 2-7 in Big 12 play, including a win against Kansas at home and Iowa State at home. Um, should be, I think they'll be competitive in a lot of these games, but at the same time, it might take a few years. It looks like they're going for a full rebuild there at Cincinnati, but they'll be competitive 4-8, 2-7 in the Big 12. And then in last place, Iowa State 3-9, 2-7 in Big 12. Now, I did have Iowa State a lot higher in my first few drafts of Big 12 predictions. But if you haven't been paying attention, there's a whole betting scandal going on in the state of Iowa with teams, with players of these colleges, Iowa and Iowa State, betting um, on Iowa, betting on Iowa State, the teams they play for, including the quarterback, the running back. Iowa State's offense is not going to be good this year, in my opinion. They'll go 3-9, 2-7 in the Big 12. They will go ahead and get wins, in my opinion. In games they're probably not going to be favorites in at home against Oklahoma State and Kansas. I do have them going 1-2 in the non-conference with losses against Iowa at home. And watch out for this game on the road against Ohio, the Ohio Bobcats, against this MAC opponent here for Iowa State. I think that there's an upset there. And Northern Iowa, they're no joke either in the FCS. I mean, I think I heard that Northern Iowa is a 23-point dog. I will be paying a bunch of money on Northern Iowa plus 23. It's going to be a rough year for Iowa State. And it sucks because Matt Campbell, people were saying, oh, he should leave. He should leave for a bigger job. Now no one wants him. Last year, Iowa State went 4-8. This year, they're going to have a similar record. No one wants Matt Campbell now. So those are the predictions. Those are where I have everybody landing at there in the Big 12. Let's go to the Big 12 championship game. Kansas State versus Baylor. I went back and forth with this one. I'm picking Kansas State to repeat as champs. I just think Kansas State. They might not be the most talented. I know people are gonna say that Texas is the most talented team in the Big 12, but I trust Kansas State more, and I think Kansas State is probably all around the best team in the Big 12, and they're going to win the Big 12 yet again. So Kansas State, they'll be in the New Year's Six Bowl. I have no teams coming out of the playoffs out of the Big 12, just because I think the league's too competitive. I think whoever wins the Big 12 is going to have at least 2 losses, as you could tell. Um, so Kansas State wins the Big 12. Comment down below. Tell me who you have winning the Big 12. Tell me what you think about these teams in the Big 12. Thanks for watching the video. Pac-12 and ACC is going to be out as well, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. McD the Beast signing off.